Gate guard at the Pizzaplex was probably the least enjoyable job at the Plex. After all, janitors got to order on staff bots all day like they were playing a strategy game against dirt and grime and vomit. Security guards, well, they had to shove around Karens constantly and new scenarios to deal with on a daily basis. The night guard probably had the most chill job in the universe. And damn it, the engineers weren't even here unless there was something to fix. These guys were the secret kings of the Pizzaplex. After all, they very rarely worked and still got full-time pay just because they're on call. And you, as a gate guard? You spend your days sitting and standing inside of a tiny wooden box, raising and closing the gate, taking the names of people, writing them in your stupid guest log before letting them in. Day in and day out. The worst thing about this job was how useless it felt. After all, there still was an on-foot entrance to the Plex that didn't have a gate guard. It was still very early spring, and your little security booth wasn't heated. Knowing how cold it was, you had draped yourself in thick blankets, and yet you still managed to get sick. Holding a hot cup of cocoa, you sat in your tiny booth, hunched over, blankets after blanket draped over you. The problem was that it wasn't even that cold. It was just that this thing was so terribly insulated that the coldness from last night was still inside of this box. There was but one good thing about being a gate guard at the Pizzaplex, and that was your shifts were much, much shorter, 4 hours in fact, though it did mean less money. Gate guard really was only meant to be a job for employees who wanted to better up their pay, if they so choose. You, on the other hand, well, admittedly you had a rich daddy. Okay, honestly, not filthy rich, but he owned a few houses that were easily paying enough for you and your family to survive. And on top of that, the fact that everyone in your family had a job and worked said job. And so you lived comfortably. But your dear old dad was a bit of a workaholic, and the fact you felt like you didn't need to work a job made him force you to get one. He didn't even care what job or how little it paid as long as you had one. Thank God the Pizzaplex was hiring at the time when he had come up with the stupid plan. It's not like he actually could force you. The only way he could force you would be selling those houses, and he was way, way too proud of a person to do that, though the gaslighting and constant belittling were becoming too much for you to handle. So you just suffered through these 4 hours, 7 days at a time, before you had about 2 days off. You checked your wristwatch. It was 6 p.m. This meant that only Fast Club members were allowed entrance until 7 p.m., as the Pizzaplex closed at 8. Though you still had 1 hour on your shift. You leaned back in your stool, sneezing and grunting. You tried to cover as much as possible of your body as you could. You exhaled slowly, closing your eyes, focusing on warming yourself up. You jumped up, immediately feeling dizzy. Your fingers felt like they were falling off, and your feet hurt. Damn it, damn it. You rubbed your hands together, blowing into your gloves. Your eyes darted to the clock. 2 a.m. 2 a.m.? It was 2 a.m. You just slept for 7 hours. Holy crap. How you were still alive was a mystery to you. Why the hell had nobody come to wake you up? You opened the door and, as quickly as you could, made your way to the delivery entrance of the Pizzaplex, as that was the only entrance the building had left at this time of day. Closing the door behind yourself, you could immediately feel the difference in warmth, even though you were merely in the Plex's garage. You inhaled, then exhaled. Then shed the blankets, neatly folding them. You needed to get these to the employee changing rooms pronto. This was the first time you were in the Pizzaplex after hours. The silence was a bit eerie. A few staff bots lazily drove around. They basically were the eyes and ears of the night guard. Stupid cushy job, he thought. Inside the changing rooms, you returned your blankets to your locker. But just in case, you kept your uniform on. If you were seen by a machine at night, you didn't want to look like a burglar. Checking tonight's shifts, you saw that the security guard leader, Brian, was on night shift tonight. Brian was a cool dude, but whenever he was on night shift, he spent over half the time smoking weed, so by now he was probably walking on sunshine. And be quite useless of a person. So you shrugged. You weren't tired anymore. For that you slept for too long. And the cold had left your body. And even though your fingers and toes still hurt, you were curious. The Pizzaplex didn't pay overtime unless a good enough reason was written, and falling asleep on the job definitely wasn't one of them. So you simply pretended that you just stayed in the Plex for free, not like anyone cared. Over the course of 30 minutes, you had made your way into the Fazbear daycare. Just wandering. Understandably, it was well lit here, and on the small balcony stage stood the daycare attendant, waving his arms.
"Oh, hello there!"
he shouted upon noticing you.
"I don't believe we've been properly introduced, Miss Guard. Are you a newbie?"
He leaped forward off the stage, a rope attached to his back. He flew towards you, before just hanging above you, like a sack of potatoes.
Oh, it's you. I've seen you before. You were here before. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you immediately, Miss Gate Guard.
You forced a smile. As part of your recruitment, you were shown the entire Pizzaplex and introduced to every animatronic, even though you'd barely interact with them.
What do you want?
I don't know, actually, he said cautiously. The robot blinked.
Oh, I see.
He unstrapped his belt, plunging on the ground next to you with a loud crashing noise. That made you jump back. Are you okay? You asked.
System analysis. All systems functional.
Right. Sun got up on his feet.
Are you thirsty?
He asked. I mean, I'm thirsty, but not like that. What do you mean? The robot held up his hand, and after a second of silence, his body vibrated and water began spewing out of his fingertips.
They installed water guns into my fingers. I've been too excited about this for a while. Every day we have water gun fights now in Kids Cove. Oh, it's so much fun.
So why did you ask if I was thirsty? The robot chuckled and innocently swung back and forth on his heels.
I was thinking, since it's water, someone could drink it. But no one wants to.
Yeah, I don't want to either. The robot let his shoulders hang. Hey, maybe later, okay?
That's agreeable. So, what are you doing here then, Gate Guard?
You shrugged. My shift ended a long time ago, and truth be told, I fell asleep on the job, and I just woke up. I guess I'm just still a bit not mentally there, you know?
Oh! You just need a break. Or wake up properly, I guess.
Excitedly, the robot took now your hand and guided you inside the play area. Son, please, I really shouldn't, you said as he set you down before the finger paints.
But you seem so bored.
You sighed. Ugh. I'm an adult. I don't really derive that much pleasure from this. Besides, I really should go home. The robot whined. Don't do that, please. He whined louder, realizing that it worked. And angrily you grabbed the red paint. Just give me a goddamn paper piece already. You began finger painting with the robot. Though it was a slow process, it was almost fun. Almost. You didn't want your uniform to get dirty, however. As you were sliding your fingers across the paper, lewd ideas began floating into your mind. Ideas on how the robot could use his new nozzle in interesting ways. You smirked. So, about the water. Is it warm? The robot shrugged.
I am supposed to heat it, yes, but not like too hot to hurt the children.
You gulped. And what about the, pressure?
I can adjust it to whatever you like, or whatever range I need to hit.
You gulped. Lewd ideas once again flooding your mind. Son, I have an idea.
Yes?
You washed off the paint from your hand at a nearby sink as you thought about your approach. Can I ask you something? Do you know by any chance where there are no cameras? If you were seriously going to try this, you didn't want Brian or anyone else for that matter to see it.
Up in my alcove, but I'm not allowed to let friends up there.
Innocently you looked at him. Oh, but aren't I more than a friend? The robot tilted his head. As a Fazbear employee, we're practically family. That made sense to the robot. Besides, what about the janitors? They get up there.
Yes, but they get in there without me. When they clean my room, I need to be far away, because I really can't witness them throwing away all the little treasures I collect from my friends.
Were you really going to do this just for a cheap thrill born out of a curiosity of all the things he could do with his fingers? Of course I would, you said out loud.
Huh?
The robot was confused. You know what? Never mind. I'm family, he said slowly. So I can go up there, correct? The robot shrugged.
Yeah, why not?
Awesome. The animatronic secured a rope around his back before returning to you.
But, don't make it a habit. If despite you being family, I don't think I'm allowed to do this regardless.
Yeah, quick in and out, got it. You spread out your arms, and Sun gave you a questioning look. Just pick me up, come on. It's not that hard. He snapped his fingers in response, before wrapping his arms around your body. He lifted himself upwards towards the ceiling. You coughed at the whiplash and at the feeling of your own weight pressed against his arms, but he seemed to hold onto you quite securely. Sun then gently placed you down on the alcove's ground. In front of you was a big pile of trash, mostly empty Fizzy Faz cups and pictures. So many pictures. Well, at least it didn't smell foul up here. When was the last cleanup? You asked cautiously, and the robot shrugged. Well, whatever. You took 2 steps forward. So, do you want to hear what I was thinking of? He nodded. You waited for him to come closer before kissing his big silly face which took him by surprise. I want the two of us to get really creative with that water nozzle of yours.
Oh, what do you mean?
The robot's eyes widened as he watched you unbuckle your belt.
Ooh, but aren't we family?
Your fingers now taking hold of your shirt's buttons. It's okay, son. My family comes from Alabama. Hey, thank you for watching my video until the end. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and watch a few more. But before I say goodbye, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe. I also have a Ko-fi and Patreon if you want to support me financially. And I also have a community Discord server. All links are down in the description. Hope you have a good day. Until next time.